Lynch smoothed himself sonorously on the chest and said, "Who has anything to say about my girth?" Crowley took him at the word, and the two began to tussle. When their faces had flushed with struggle, they drew apart, panting. Stephen bent down towards Darwin, who, intent on the game, had paid no heed to talk of the others. "And how is my little tame goose?" he asked. "Did he sign too?" Darwin nodded and said, "And you, Steve?" Stephen shook his head. "You are a terrible man, Steve," said Darwin, taking the short pipe from his mouth. "Always alone. Now that you have signed the petition for universal peace," said Stephen, "I suppose you will burn that little copy." "The copybooks I saw in your room." As Darwin did not answer, Stephen began to quote. "Long pace, Fiona, right incline, Fiona, Fiona by numbers, salute 1, 2. "That's a different question," said Darwin. "I'm an Irish nationalist, first and foremost. But that's you all out. You are a born sinner, Steve. When you make the next revelation with Hurley, sticks," said Stephen, "and want the indispensable informer. Tell me. I can find you a few in this college. I can't understand you, said the wind. One time I hear you talk against English literature. Now you talk against the Irish informers. What with your name and your ideas? Are you Irish at all? Come with me now to the office of arms, and I will show you the tree of my family, said Stephen. Then be one of us, said the wind. Why don't you learn Irish? Why did you drop out of the league? The league class after the first lessons. You know one reason why, answered Stephen. Darwin tossed his head and laughed. Come now, he said. Is it an account of the certain young lady and Father Moran? But that's all in your own mind, Steve. They were only talking and laughing. Stephen paused and laid a friendly hand upon Darwin's shoulder. Do you remember? He said. When we know each other first. The first morning we met you. Ask me to show you the way to the matriculation class. Putting a very strong stress on the first syllable. You remember? Then you used to address the Jesus as Father. You remember? I ask myself about you. Is he as innocent as his speech? I'm a simple person, said the wind. You know that. When you told me that night in Harcourt Street, those things about your private life. Honest to God, Steve, I was not able to eat my dinner. I was quite bad. I was awake a long time that night. Why did you tell me those things? Thanks, said Stefan. You mean I'm a monster? No, said Darwin. But I wish you had not told me. A tide began to surge. Beneath the calm surface of Stefan's friendliness. This race and this country and this life produced me. He said, I shall express myself as I am. Try to be one of us. Repeated the wind. In your heart, you are an Irishman. But your pride is too powerful. My ancestors threw off their language and took another one. Stefan said, they allowed a handful of foreigners to subject them. Do you fancy I'm going to pay in my own life? And person debts they made what for? For our freedom, said Darwin. No honorable and sincere man, said Stefan, has given up to you his life and his youth and his affections from the days of Tone to those of Parnell. But you sold him to the enemy, or failed him in need, or reviled him and left him for another. And you invite me to be one of you. I'd see you damned first. 'I'd 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 see you damn They died for their ideals, Steve. Said Darwin. Or they will come yet. Believe me, Stephen, following his own thought, was silent for an instant. The soul is born. He said vaguely, first in those moments I told you of. It has a slow and dark birth. More mysterious than the birth of the body. When the soul of a man is born in this country, there are nets flung at it to hold it back from flight. You talk to me of nationality, language, religion. I shall try to fly by those nets. Darwin knocked the ashes from his pipe. Too deep for me, Steve, he said. But a man's country comes first. Ireland first. Steve, you can be a poet or mystics after. Do you know what Ireland is? Asked Stephen with cold violence. Ireland is the old sow that eats her farrow. Darwin rose from his box and went towards the players. Shaking his head sadly. But in a moment his sadness left him, and he was hotly disputing with Cranley and the two players who had finished their game. A match of 4 was arranged. Cranley insisting. However, that his ball should be used. He let it rebound twice or thrice to his hand, and struck it strongly and swiftly towards the base of the alley. exclaiming in answer to its thought, "Your soul." This video is taken for Navid Daria's page.